So, you want to save the world with clean energy? Make money doing it? Confused about the economic and technical realities of residential and commercial solar, batteries, heat pumps, EVs? Want the real-world scoop on new energy technologies, not manufacture hype? Then tune in to the Weekly Energy Show, hosted by Barry Cinnamon. Insights from Barry's 40-plus years in the solar and energy industry will help you understand the future ways we'll generate and consume energy. And now, here's Barry.
Welcome to this week's Energy Show. Now, it's that time of year again. The beginning of the year, I mean. So it's time for my annual solar, storage, and electrification predictions. But first, I thought we'd take a look at 2025 and see how I did. I was wrong about slowing electrical demand, combined solar and heat pump demand, and grid defection awareness. But I was right about the demise of the IRA, unfortunately, increased third-party ownership demand, the utility monopoly powers, the broken heat pump rebate process, relaxed rapid shutdown rules and the implication they had on systems, standalone inverters, and new battery companies. So all in all, I got 7 out of 10 predictions right. And I owe it all to President Trump, since he basically did what he said he would do to clean energy. So I expect 2026 to be more of the same drill, baby, drill policies. The goal in the U.S. seems to be eliminating the energy sources that compete with fossil fuels. So there's going to be continued efforts to cancel clean energy projects, increase costs with tariffs and duties, add permitting restrictions, and basically eliminate funding sources for clean energy projects of all types. So there'll be continued efforts to terminate clean energy projects, increase costs with tariffs and duties, add permitting restrictions, and eliminate funding sources for all clean energy projects. Meanwhile, costs for clean energy on the world market will continue to decline as the U.S. looks backwards to the good old days of the fossil fuel era. What's next? A return to horses and buggies? All right, so here we go with the predictions. I'll get the bad news out of the way first. There's going to be a record number of clean energy company bankruptcies and restructurings in 2026. The sad thing is that almost all of these companies were founded to save customers money and reduce global warming. We're going to miss their contributions, and we hope that they still hold on to that clean energy dream. The nightmare will end. Prediction number 2, cities and towns will pass legislation that requires homeowners replace broken air conditioner condensers with a heat pump unit. Now, basically, they're forcing consumers to put in a unit that provides both cooling and heating. It's a process called AC2HP, air conditioning to heat pump. Now, the fossil fuel industry is going to aggressively oppose these heat pump requirements, but customers are going to ultimately benefit from cleaner air as well as lower heating and cooling costs. It's the same thing that happened as we transition from incandescent bulbs to those weird CFLs, compact fluorescents, to LED lighting. LED lighting is ubiquitous. It's as cheap as incandescents were, and these LEDs use like 20% of the electricity. That's one of the reasons why our electrical growth was flattening, because we were taking all this expensive heat-generating incandescent bulbs, and we turned them into these cheap LEDs. Prediction number 3, utilities are going to claim that the data center build-out will not cause electric rates to skyrocket. So, as Chico Marx said, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? I don't have a good Italian accent. I don't even try. But it's going to be a fact. They're going to claim that electricity prices aren't going to go up, and the data center build-out will continue regardless of the impact on ratepayers. And that impact on ratepayers is going to be pretty severe. And part of the implications of that is why we're going to have a bigger and bigger power shortage, is more and more solar and wind projects are going to be canceled. More power is going to be generated from polluting and increasingly expensive methane. I wouldn't be surprised if even more and more coal plants are resurrected. And by the way, new nuclear is almost universally radioactive to utilities. That's not a prediction, but that's a fact. Utilities don't want to build a nuclear plant. None of them are working out. That may change in 20 years once we get permitting and testing some of these small modular reactors. But the new plants, the Westinghouse 1000s that talking about building, no way they're going to come in less than 20 years and less than $20 billion. Prediction number 4, energy based on moving electrons will get cheaper and cheaper compared to energy based on moving atoms. And when combined with cheap solar, rapid battery cost reductions threaten all other energy sources for grid power. It's energy that's produced from the sun, electrophotons to electrons, energy that's stored in batteries, once again, an electrical storage method, and then energy is transmitted over wires. So when you think about the alternatives, moving atoms, developers of geothermal, pumping a fluid down into the ground, it gets hot, it comes up as steam, we're running that through a turbine, we're recycling that water, all moving parts. So developers of geothermal, nuclear, and ostensibly even clean fossil fuel power, they have to reckon with and compete against what I call no moving parts local energy from mass-produced solar and battery systems. And these no moving parts local energy can be installed in a matter of months, not years. It's a mass production way of producing energy. Solar panels get cheaper and cheaper. Batteries get cheaper and cheaper. Drilling wells for oil, gas, geothermal, that's not getting cheaper. Nuclear power is not getting cheaper. And grubbing carbon dioxide out of flue gases from fossil fuel comes, that's not getting any cheaper. Solar and batteries are going to continue to drop in price. My next prediction, number 5, battery storage costs are going to continue to decline even more rapidly than we expect. Bloomberg New Energy Finance observes that battery pack costs are now $108 per kilowatt hour and will decline another 3% in 2026. I think it's going to come down faster. We're talking about the battery pack costs. That's the cells. Obviously, the systems cost a lot more. But as those battery pack costs come down, which is the biggest component of the system cost, just like the biggest component of solar panel or the solar cells, all of the battery systems are going to come down in price. At this level, kind of think about it, when the batteries get really cheap, it becomes cost effective to provide battery storage for blackouts or power needs, not just for 1 or 2 hours, but for 1 or 2 days. Homeowners started putting in 5 kilowatt hour or 10 kilowatt hour battery systems. Now they're putting in 20 or 30 kilowatt hour battery systems, and people are going to start putting in 40 and 50 kilowatt hour battery systems. And then, as we talk about in a minute, they're going to start using the batteries in vehicles, which are typically 80 to 100 kilowatt hours. Okay, prediction number 6. Top tier battery system manufacturers will gain share as second tier companies drop out of the US market. This is a basic consolidation thing that happens as you have companies that have good technology, it's working, they get bigger and bigger, and the new entrants really struggle unless they really have a great product with a lot of backing. They really struggle to get traction. So when we kind of look at battery systems and our business is installing batteries, we judge winners and losers on reliability of the system, on the software that's used in the entire system, from the app on your phone to administrative software, and the balance sheet of those companies, their ability to stay in business and continue to deal with all this chaos that's going on in the world. Not block diagrams in PowerPoint, not fancy brochures. Prediction number 7. The market share for solar systems using module level power electronics, or MLPE, will gradually decline because there's more lenient rapid shutdown requirements in UL 3741. Now, that's a complicated sentence full of jargon and terminology. Customers are going to be less willing to spring for the extra upfront cost of these added components, even though these added module level power electronics allow you to build systems and operate systems more efficiently with optimizers or microinverters and have better granular monitoring, panel by panel monitoring. Even though they're better in many ways, a lot of customers are going to say, you know what, I can kind of forego some of those benefits for just a lower price. And that's going to continue. Prediction number 8. The demand for residential solar and battery financing is going to succeed the supply of quality equipment. There's lots of money to get, but in order to kind of have really good financing, you need quality equipment. And there's, I believe, going to be a shortage of the quality equipment, especially equipment that meets safe harbor requirements and FEOC, or Foreign Entity of Concern requirements. So these are kind of wild cards that were put in by the Trump administration to kind of make it more difficult, well, actually to ostensibly preserve the US market for these products. They're trying to say, hey, we don't want things coming in from overseas. We want everything built in the US. The problem is that we're not building enough in the US, not even close to the demand. So it's going to be really tricky to find financing that has high quality premium products because a lot of them aren't manufactured yet in the US. Now, it wouldn't be a surprise to anyone if new executive orders come out, new executive orders related to new safe harboring restrictions and new fiat requirements that are going to come out this year, early in the year. That's going to further reduce financeable equipment availability. Keep in mind that the Trump administration is not really a big fan of solar and batteries and heat pumps, and they're going to come up with ways to kind of further slow the market down. And one way to do that is make the financing more difficult. Prediction number 9, plug-in solar, also known as balcony solar. There's a lot of hype for that, and that hype is going to accelerate as more states propose favorable legislation. There's a bunch of companies that are out there that have done a really, really good job of developing simple, low-cost, $1,000 systems or less that allow you to connect a couple of solar panels to your house. And they've gotten great publicity and great awareness for the benefits of their product. But it's going to be at least another year until the necessary UL and NEC safety features are added to these systems. So the combination of new state legislation, Utah's got legislation, California's coming out with new legislation, and when these safety features are actually on the market and completed and listed, you're going to be able to see plug-in solar systems for a couple of solar panels, maybe 4 solar panels, who knows. They're going to be able to be plugged in anywhere safely. And that's going to crack open the utility interconnection monopoly. Prediction number 10, major automakers will offer and install proprietary vehicle-to-grid or V2G charging systems. This is something that Ford started doing. A bunch of other automakers are doing them. And basically, the auto companies are saying, hey, we can integrate an inverter and an EV charger and a battery and a gateway and make it work with our vehicle with software that works with the local utility. They're trying to do that. That's a lot of work. Unfortunately, when this has been tried in the market by some auto manufacturers, they've been big flops. So my prediction is none of these auto industry V2G systems are going to come close to the reliability, functionality, and installed base of the current crop of established battery system leaders, including Tesla, Franklin, Enphase, and Lunar. So the automakers are going to try and come out with these products. They're not going to be nearly as good as what you can get from the leaders. Meanwhile, what's happening is there's going to be more and more vehicle-to-home systems. And they're going to become much more popular because they can provide customer benefits, i.e. cheaper power and blackout protection, without complicated utility integration and non-standard equipment. So, for example, the Hyundai cars, the Cybertruck, and a bunch of other GM vehicles are coming out with AC outputs on the dashboard and in the back of the vehicle, sometimes thousands and thousands of watts. You can plug that right in to a well-designed home battery system, like from Franklin or Tesla or Enphase and Lunar, that is going to be able to use that power for the house. So you can use your vehicle's battery to back up the house, and you could charge that vehicle up again, drive it to work and charge it during the day. So that's really going to change things. And it's not going to be the vision that the auto companies have, which is, oh, we as a great auto company are going to be the major source for home battery storage systems and connections to the local utility. A lot of people don't care about connecting to the local utility. They just want cheap power. So in a nutshell, going forward, 2026, it's going to be another transition year for clean energy, but only in the US. While the US tries to recapture the glory days of the last fossil fuel century, the rest of the world's going to charge ahead with EVs, with heat pumps, with solar, and batteries. And fortunately, the way I look at it, the compelling economics of solar, batteries, EVs, heat pumps, clean energy, it's unstoppable. It just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, whereby fossil fuels are not getting cheaper. And obviously, there's the big problems with a lot of pollution. So the US is going to get dragged into the clean energy future, kicking and screaming at the rate we're going now, instead of leading the charge as we were trying to do in the past. That's all the time we have on this week's Energy Show. Thanks for joining me, and thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in. If you missed any of today's show, you can always go to our website at energyshow.biz and listen to the podcasts.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's Energy Show.